The sleek Mercedes sat perfectly positioned on the shoulder of the quiet highway, its hazard lights blinking rhythmically in the fading afternoon light. And behind the wheel sat Sophia Pearson, CEO of Pearson Industries, who was absolutely not stranded. She watched in her rearview mirror as a beat-up Ford pickup truck slowed down behind her, its brakes squeaking slightly. Sophia took a deep breath, reminding herself why she was doing this. 3 months ago, her executive assistant had jokingly suggested this social experiment after Sophia complained that every man she met only wanted her money or her connections. "Maybe you should see how someone treats you when they think you are just a regular person in trouble," her assistant had said. At the time, Sophia had laughed it off, but the idea had taken root. Now, watching a tall figure emerge from the truck, she felt a flutter of nervousness mixed with excitement. This was ridiculous. She was a 32-year-old woman who ran a multi-million-dollar tech company, and here she was, pretending to have car trouble like some character in a romantic comedy. The man who approached was broad-shouldered and wore work jeans covered in what looked like sawdust. His brown hair was slightly messed up, and he had the kind of weathered handsomeness that came from actual physical work, not expensive gym memberships. As he got closer, Sophia could see concern etched on his face. "You okay, madam?" he called out, his voice deep and genuine. Sophia stepped out of her car, having changed earlier into more casual clothes than her usual designer suits. "My car just stopped," she said, surprised at how easily the lie came. "I do not know anything about engines." The man smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "Well, let me take a look. I am Blake Quinn, by the way." "Sophia," she replied, shaking his extended hand. His palm was calloused and warm. "Pop the hood for me," Blake asked, already moving toward the front of the Mercedes. Sophia did as instructed, watching as Blake leaned over her engine. She had to admit, even though this was staged, there was something appealing about watching someone genuinely try to help a stranger. In her world, everyone had an angle. "This is a nice car," Blake commented, his head buried in the engine compartment. "Should not have any problems, but let me check the obvious stuff first." Sophia felt a pang of guilt. Here was this man, clearly coming from work, stopping to help her when he probably had somewhere to be. "I really appreciate this," she said. "I hope I am not keeping you from anything important." Blake looked up, and she saw his expression shift slightly. "Actually, I do need to pick up my daughter from after-school care, but I have got a few minutes. Let me just check your battery connections." "You have a daughter?" Sophia found herself genuinely interested. "How old?" "Emma is 6, Blake said, and his entire demeanor softened at the mention of her name. "She is everything to me." "Is your wife waiting too?" Sophia asked, trying to sound casual. "No wife," Blake replied, his voice even. "It has been just Emma and me for 4 years now." Her mom decided parenthood was not for her and left when Emma was 2. Sophia felt her heart clench at the matter-of-fact way he said it, as though he had long ago accepted the pain of that abandonment. "I am sorry," she said softly. Blake shrugged, still examining her engine. "We are doing fine." Better than fine, actually. Emma is smart and funny, and she makes every hard day worth it. He straightened up, wiping his hands on his jeans. "You know what? I cannot see anything obviously wrong. Could be your fuel pump or maybe something electrical. But it is getting late, and I really need to get Emma. How about I give you a ride to the nearest service station? It is only about 10 miles back." This was the moment Sophia had planned for. She should call her breakdown service, thank him, and that would be it. But something about Blake Quinn made her want to stretch this out just a little longer. "I do not want to impose, especially since you need to get your daughter," Sophia said. "The aftercare place is on the way," Blake assured her. "Besides, I cannot just leave you here on the highway. Not safe." 20 minutes later, Sophia found herself in the passenger seat of Blake's truck, which smelled faintly of wood and coffee. The interior was clean but worn, and there was a child's booster seat in the back along with a small pink backpack. "So what do you do?" Blake asked as he drove, his eyes mostly on the road. I work in tech, Sophia said, which was not exactly a lie. Consulting, mostly. What about you? I am a carpenter, Blake replied with evident pride. I work for a construction company, but I also do custom furniture on the side when I can. Trying to build up enough business to go fully independent one day. That sounds wonderful, Sophia said, and she meant it. Creating something with your hands must be satisfying. Blake glanced at her with surprise. It is. Most people do not really get that. They hear carpenter and think I could not cut it doing something else. People can be snobs, Sophia said dryly, thinking of some of her own board members. Blake laughed, a warm, genuine sound. Yeah, they can be. They pulled into a parking lot of a small building with a colorful sign that read, Sunshine After School Care. Blake checked his watch and relaxed slightly. Made it with 5 minutes to spare. Emma hates being the last one picked up. Do you mind if I come in? Sophia asked impulsively. I would love to meet her. Blake looked surprised but pleased. Sure, yeah, just warning you, she is pretty talkative. The moment they walked through the door, a small whirlwind with light brown braids and bright blue eyes came running toward them. Daddy. Emma launched herself at Blake, who caught her easily and swung her up into his arms. Hey, Peanut, how was your day? Blake asked, his whole face alight with love. We made pictures of our families, and I made you really tall, and Miss Jennifer said mine was very good, and can we have spaghetti for dinner? Emma rattled off without taking a breath. Then her curious eyes landed on Sophia. Who is that? This is Miss Sophia, Blake introduced, setting Emma down. Her car broke down, so I am helping her out. Emma stepped forward and extended a small hand very seriously. It is nice to meet you, Miss Sophia. I am Emma Marie Quinn, and I am 6 3/4 years old. Sophia shook the tiny hand solemnly, utterly charmed. It is very nice to meet you too, Emma Marie. That is a lovely name. My daddy picked it, Emma said proudly. He said it means universal and wished for. I am wished for. Sophia felt her throat tighten unexpectedly. She glanced at Blake, who was looking at his daughter with such pure love that Sophia felt like an intruder on something sacred. After collecting Emma's things and saying goodbye to the care workers, the three of them headed back to the truck. Emma chattered continuously about her day, her friend Sophie who could do a cartwheel, and how she was learning to read chapter books now. So where are we taking Miss Sophia? Emma asked once they were all buckled in. To Jimmy's service station, Blake replied. But Daddy, that is really far. Will you not be really late making dinner? Emma asked with concern. Blake met Sophia's eyes in the rearview mirror. It will be fine, Peanut. We cannot leave someone stranded. Miss Sophia could come have dinner with us, and then you could take her after, Emma suggested brightly. We are having spaghetti, and Daddy makes really good sauce. Oh, sweetheart, I am sure Miss Sophia has other plans, Blake said quickly, though Sophia could hear the embarrassment in his voice. Every rational part of Sophia's brain told her to politely decline. This had already gone far beyond her initial experiment. But looking at Emma's hopeful face and thinking about Blake's kindness, she found herself saying, Actually, I would love to have dinner with you both, if it is really okay. Blake looked surprised but genuinely pleased. Yeah, of course. I mean, it is just spaghetti, nothing fancy. Fancy is overrated, Sophia said, and she meant it more than Blake could possibly know. Blake and Emma lived in a small but tidy duplex in a working-class neighborhood. The outside needed paint, but there were flower pots by the door that looked carefully tended. Inside, the space was modest but clean, decorated with Emma's artwork and photos of the two of them together. Sorry about the mess, Blake said, though the place was actually quite neat. It is not messy at all, Sophia assured him. You have a lovely home. While Blake started on dinner, Emma gave Sophia a comprehensive tour of their duplex, which took about 3 minutes. Emma's room was small but painted a cheerful yellow, with a twin bed covered in stuffed animals and a bookshelf overflowing with children's books. Daddy reads me 2 stories every night, Emma informed her. Sometimes 3 if I have been really good. That sounds wonderful, Sophia said, sitting on the edge of Emma's bed as the little girl showed her various treasures. From the kitchen, she could hear Blake moving around, and the smell of garlic and tomatoes began to fill the small duplex. Sophia could not remember the last time she had been in such a normal, homey environment. Her penthouse apartment was beautiful but sterile, decorated by professionals. "Miss Sophia, do you have any kids?" Emma asked, holding a stuffed elephant. "No, I do not," Sophia replied. "Why not?" "Emma, that is not polite to ask," Blake called from the kitchen, clearly listening. "It is okay," Sophia assured him. To Emma, she said, "I guess I have just been really busy with work. Sometimes grown-ups have to make choices about what to focus on." Emma considered this seriously. "My daddy works really hard, but he always has time for me. He says I am his #1 priority." "Your daddy sounds like a very smart man," Sophia said softly. Over dinner, which was indeed delicious, Sophia found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did. Emma kept the conversation lively with her constant questions and observations, and Blake was an attentive but not overbearing parent, gently correcting table manners while still letting Emma be herself. "So, Sophia," Blake said as they ate, "you said you work in tech consulting." "What does that actually mean?" Sophia had prepared for this. "I help companies figure out how to use technology better, make their systems more efficient." "That sounds complicated," Blake said with genuine interest. "Do you like it, did she?" Sophia ran a company, made major decisions that affected thousands of employees, negotiated deals worth millions. But did she like it? "Sometimes," she said honestly. "It can be stressful, but there is satisfaction in solving problems, in building something that works." "Like when Daddy builds furniture," Emma piped up. "He made my bookshelf and it did not fall down even once." Blake laughed. "High praise indeed." After dinner, Emma insisted that Sophia see the bookshelf in question, as well as a coffee table Blake had made, and a small wooden box with Emma's name carved into it. "You are really talented," Sophia said, running her fingers over the smooth surface of the box. The craftsmanship was genuinely impressive. Blake looked pleased but modest. "Thanks. I love working with wood. There is something about taking a raw material and turning it into something useful, something that will last. I want Emma to grow up knowing that her dad makes things, creates things. That is important to me." Looking at this man in his small duplex with his second-hand furniture and his daughter's artwork on the walls, Sophia felt a strange mixture of admiration and shame. She had never made anything with her hands in her life. She made money, sure, but what did she actually create? "You know what?" Blake said suddenly. "I should probably get you to that service station before they close. Emma, you need to get your bath started, okay? Can Miss Sophia come back and visit?" Emma asked hopefully. Blake looked uncomfortable. "Emma, Miss Sophia is probably really busy." Sophia found herself saying, "I would love to visit again, Emma, if that is okay with your dad." After a bath and story time that Sophia watched from the doorway, touched by the gentle way Blake read to his daughter, they finally left for the service station. The drive was quieter, more comfortable than before. "Thank you for dinner," Sophia said, "and for being so welcoming." "I had a really nice time." "Thanks for being cool with Emma," Blake replied. "She does not have a lot of women in her life. My mom helps out when she can, but she works 2 jobs. It has mostly just been the 2 of us." "She is a wonderful little girl," Sophia said sincerely. "You are doing an amazing job." Blake pulled into the service station parking lot, which was, unfortunately, still open. Sophia felt a strange reluctance to get out of the truck. "So," Blake said, and she could hear nervousness in his voice. "I know this is probably weird since we just met, and I helped you with your car, but would you maybe want to get coffee sometime? Without the car trouble and spaghetti dinner?" Sophia's heart leaped. This was what she wanted, was not it? To meet someone who liked her for herself, not her money or position. "I would really like that," she said, They exchanged phone numbers, and as Sophia walked into the service station, she felt lighter than she had in years. Of course, she then had to explain to the confused mechanic that she had been wrong, her car was fine. She had just panicked when a light came on. She arranged for her Mercedes to be picked up the next day and called her driver to collect her, all while replaying the evening in her mind. Over the next few weeks, Sophia and Blake fell into a pattern of texting and phone calls. Their first official date was at a small diner that Blake apologized for repeatedly, not knowing that Sophia found its authenticity refreshing. He talked about Emma constantly, and Sophia loved that about him. Here was a man whose child truly came first. "She keeps asking when you are coming over again," Blake admitted over coffee. "I think you made quite an impression." "The feeling is mutual," Sophia assured him. "Emma is special." "She is my whole world," Blake said simply. "I know some women find that off-putting. I have tried dating before, and once they realize they would not be my priority, they usually bail." "Emma should be your priority," Sophia said firmly. "She is 6 years old and she needs her father." "Any woman who cannot understand that is not worth your time." Blake looked at her with such warmth that Sophia felt her face heat. "You are something else, Sophia, in the best way." But even as things progressed between them, Sophia felt the weight of her deception growing heavier. They had been on 5 dates now, not counting the first evening, and Blake still thought she was a tech consultant. She told herself she would tell him soon, but the timing never seemed right. Then came the evening that changed everything. Blake had invited her to a small fall festival at Emma's school, and Sophia had eagerly agreed. She loved watching Blake and Emma together, the easy affection between them. The festival was held in the school gymnasium, decorated with paper leaves and pumpkins. Emma dragged them from booth to booth, winning a small stuffed cat at the ring toss that Blake definitely helped her with. "Best dad ever," Emma declared, hugging the cat. "Just wait until you see me at the cakewalk," Blake joked. They were in line for cider when a woman approached, someone Sophia vaguely recognized from various business events. Her name was Patricia, and she served on the board of a company Pearson Industries had acquired the previous year. "Sophia Pearson," Patricia said, her surprise evident. "I did not expect to see you here." Sophia felt her stomach drop. "Hello, Patricia." "Wait, you two know each other?" Blake asked, looking between them. "Of course," Patricia said, oblivious to the tension. "Sophia is CEO of Pearson Industries. We have worked together on several projects. Though I must say, this is quite different from your usual haunts." Sophia watched the confusion on Blake's face shift to understanding and then to something that looked like hurt and betrayal. "CEO," he repeated flatly. "I can explain," Sophia started. "Daddy, what is wrong?" Emma asked, picking up on the sudden tension. Blake forced a smile for his daughter. "Nothing, Peanut. Why do not you go try the bean-bag toss over there? I can see you from here." Once Emma was occupied, Blake turned to Sophia, his expression carefully neutral. "You are a CEO." "Of Pearson Industries. That is a huge company." "Yes," Sophia admitted, her heart sinking. "So when you said you worked in tech consulting, that was what exactly? A lie." "A simplification," Sophia said weakly. Patricia, finally sensing the atmosphere, excused herself quickly. "Why?" Blake asked, and Sophia could hear the hurt underneath the question. "Why not just tell me the truth? Can we talk about this somewhere more private?" Sophia asked, aware of the people around them. "I need to take care of Emma," Blake said. "But yeah, we definitely need to talk." The rest of the festival was tense and awkward. Emma seemed to sense something was wrong and was quieter than usual. When it was time to leave, Blake said, "Emma and I need to get home. She has school tomorrow." "Blake, please," Sophia said. "Tomorrow," he said tersely. "Come by the duplex tomorrow evening, around 7 after Emma is in bed." That night, Sophia barely slept. She had screwed this up so badly, all because of a stupid experiment, a test that she now realized had been unfair from the start. Blake had been nothing but genuine with her, and she had lied to him from the very first moment. The next evening, she arrived at Blake's duplex at exactly 7. He answered the door in sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, his hair damp from a shower. He looked tired. "Emma is asleep," he said quietly. "Come in." They sat in his small living room, the space that had seemed so cozy before now feeling charged with tension. "I owe you an explanation," Sophia began. "Yeah, you do," Blake agreed. "You let me think you were just a regular person. You came into my home, met my daughter, and the whole time you were lying." "I never lied about my feelings," Sophia said desperately. "Everything I felt, everything I said about you and Emma, that was all real." "But you lied about who you are," Blake said. "That is a pretty fundamental thing, Sophia." "I know," she said miserably. "I know, and I am so sorry. The truth is, I staged the whole car thing. My car was not broken down. I was doing this stupid experiment because I was tired of people only wanting me for my money or my connections. I wanted to see how someone would treat me if they thought I was nobody special." Blake stared at her. "You staged it, so from the very first moment you were manipulating me." "No." "I mean, yes, initially, but then I met you, and you were so kind and genuine, and Emma was so sweet, and I just wanted to be normal for a little while. I wanted to be someone who could have dinner in a duplex and not worry about stock prices and board meetings. With you, I was not CEO Sophia Pearson. I was just Sophia, and that felt amazing." "But that is the thing," Blake said, and his voice cracked slightly. "You are CEO Sophia Pearson. That is not something you can just take off like a coat, and by hiding it, you took away my choice to decide if that was something I could handle." "Would you have treated me differently if you had known?" Sophia challenged. "Honestly, probably. I would have been intimidated as hell. I would have assumed someone like you would never seriously be interested in someone like me." He gestured around his modest duplex. "Look at where I live, Sophia. Look at my truck. I am a carpenter who can barely afford his daughter's after-school care. You run a multi-million-dollar company." "None of that matters to me," Sophia insisted, "but it matters to me." Blake said, his voice rising before he caught himself and lowered it again, mindful of Emma sleeping. "I have my pride, Sophia. I do not need charity or someone slumming it with the working class for fun." "That is not what this is," Sophia said, tears forming in her eyes. "Blake, these past few weeks with you and Emma have been the happiest I have been in years. You make me feel seen in a way no one else does. Not as a CEO or a business leader, but as a person. As a woman." Blake ran his hands through his hair in frustration. "I do not know what to think. I really like you, Sophia. Hell, I more than like you, but I have Emma to think about. She is already attached to you. If this does not work out, it will hurt her too." "So you are saying we are done?" Sophia asked, her heart breaking. "I am saying I need time to think," Blake replied. "This is a lot to process. You are not who I thought you were." "Yes, I am," Sophia said desperately. "I am exactly who you thought I was. I just also happen to have a job that comes with a big title." Blake looked at her for a long moment, and Sophia could see him struggling with his emotions. "Please go," he finally said. "I need to think about this, and I cannot do that with you here." Sophia left feeling like her world was crumbling. She had found something real, something precious, and she had poisoned it with her deception. For 3 days, she heard nothing from Blake. No texts, no calls. Sophia threw herself into work, staying late at the office, but for the first time in her career, it brought her no satisfaction. Her assistant asked if she was okay, and Sophia just shook her head. On the 4th day, as she was leaving the office late, she found Blake waiting by her car. Her real car, the Mercedes. He looked nervous, his hands shoved in his jacket pockets. "How did you know where I park?" Sophia asked. "I have this friend who is good with computers," Blake said with a weak smile. "I might have asked him to do some research. Turns out there are a lot of articles about you online. You are kind of a big deal." "Blake," Sophia said, afraid to hope. "I have been thinking a lot," Blake said. "And I talked to my mom. She said I was being an idiot." Despite everything, Sophia felt a small smile form. "She sounds wise." "She is," Blake agreed. He took a step closer. I was hurt, Sophia. I felt like you made a fool of me. But then I thought about everything you said, about wanting to be seen as just Sophia. And I realized that in my own way, I do the same thing. When I meet someone new, I am just Blake the carpenter. I do not immediately tell them about how Emma's mom left, or about the medical bills from when Emma got really sick as a toddler, or about how some months I have to choose between fixing my truck or buying Emma new shoes. Blake, Sophia breathed. We all have parts of ourselves we hide until we feel safe, Blake continued. You just have bigger parts to hide than most people. And yeah, the way you did it was not great, but I understand why you did it. So what are you saying? Sophia asked, hardly daring to hope. I am saying that I miss you, Blake said simply. And Emma misses you. She keeps asking when you are coming over, and I hate not having an answer. I am saying that I want to try this for real. You, as CEO Sophia Pearson, and me, as struggling single dad Blake Quinn. If you are willing to deal with a guy who will never be able to afford the kind of restaurants you are probably used to. I hate those restaurants, Sophia said, stepping closer. They are pretentious and the portions are tiny. Blake laughed, and the sound was like sunshine after rain. So we are doing this, really doing this? If you will have me, Sophia said. And Blake, I want you to know that I am in this, not just with you but with Emma too. I care about both of you so much. Blake closed the distance between them and cupped her face in his hands. You have no idea how happy that makes me. Then he kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, Blake said, So I have to ask, what does a CEO do for fun when she is not pretending her car broke down? Sophia laughed. Honestly, I have no idea. I work most of the time. Well then, Blake said, taking her hand, we are going to have to fix that. Over the following months, Sophia and Blake navigated the unique challenges of their relationship. She met his mother, Gloria, a sharp-eyed woman who looked Sophia up and down before declaring, You will do, as long as you treat my boys right. Boys? Sophia had asked. Blake and Emma, Gloria clarified. That man has been both mother and father to that child. They are a package deal. I would not want it any other way, Sophia assured her. Integrating into Blake and Emma's life meant adjustments on all sides. Sophia learned to be comfortable in casual settings, to enjoy simple pleasures like movie nights on the couch or trips to the park. Blake had to adjust to the reality of Sophia's demanding career, the late-night calls and weekend work. I am sorry, Sophia said one evening when she had to cancel plans because of an emergency board meeting. I know this is not fair to you and Emma. We understand, Blake assured her. Emma knows you have an important job. Just do not forget about us, okay? Never, Sophia promised. Emma adapted remarkably well to having Sophia in her life. She loved showing Sophia her schoolwork and telling her about her friends. One evening, Emma climbed into Sophia's lap and said, Miss Sophia, are you my daddy's girlfriend? Sophia glanced at Blake, who was watching them with a soft expression. Yes, I am. Is that okay with you? Emma nodded seriously. It is very okay. You make Daddy smile a lot. He did not smile that much before. 4 months into their relationship, Sophia decided it was time for Blake and Emma to see her world. She had been to their home countless times, but Blake had never been to her penthouse. Are you sure? Blake asked when she invited them over. I do not want Emma to feel uncomfortable. I want you both to see where I live, Sophia said. It is part of who I am. The following Saturday, Sophia waited nervously in her penthouse. She had told her housekeeper to take the day off, wanting this to be just the 3 of them. When the doorman called up to announce Blake and Emma, Sophia felt butterflies in her stomach. Emma's eyes went wide when she stepped into the penthouse. Wow, she breathed. This is like a palace. The space was indeed impressive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, designer furniture, and original artwork on the walls. Sophia tried to see it through Emma's eyes and felt a pang of disconnect between the space and the cozy duplex she had grown to love. It is just a place, Sophia said. Not as homey as your duplex. You have a lot of space for just one person, Blake observed, and Sophia could not quite read his tone. They spent the afternoon together, and Sophia showed Emma the view from the balcony, pointing out landmarks. They made lunch together in her state-of-the-art kitchen that Sophia rarely used, and Emma delighted in the refrigerator that dispensed ice automatically. But later, after Emma had fallen asleep on the couch watching a movie, Blake said quietly, "This is really your life. The penthouse, the fancy car, the important job." "Yes," Sophia said, "but it is not all I am, you know that, right?" Blake was quiet for a moment. "I know, it is just a lot to take in. Emma and I live so differently." "Does it bother you?" Sophia asked, afraid of the answer. "Honestly." "Sometimes," Blake admitted. "Not because I am jealous or anything like that, but because I worry I cannot give you the life you are used to. I cannot take you to expensive restaurants or buy you fancy gifts." Sophia moved closer to him on the couch. "Blake, look at me. I have all of this, and for the longest time I was lonely. Coming home to this empty penthouse every night was depressing. Then I met you and Emma, and suddenly I did not want to come home anymore. I wanted to be in your small duplex with the stuffed animals on the floor and Emma's artwork on the fridge. That is what I want. But you cannot just give up who you are," Blake said. "I would never ask that." "I am not giving anything up," Sophia insisted. "I am adding something. I am adding you and Emma to my life, and it makes everything better." Blake pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "You are pretty amazing, you know that?" "I am in love with you," Sophia said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. "I know it has only been 4 months, but I love you, Blake. I love Emma. I love the life we are building together." Blake pulled back to look at her, his eyes shining. "I love you too," he said. "I have for a while now. I was just scared to say it, scared that this was all too good to be real." "It is real," Sophia promised. "As real as it gets." They kissed, and it felt like a promise, like a commitment to whatever came next. The holidays approached, and Sophia was determined to make them special. She invited Blake, Emma, and Gloria to join her for Thanksgiving, offering to host at her penthouse. "Are you sure?" Gloria asked when Blake relayed the invitation. "That is a lot of work for someone who says she does not cook much." "I want to learn," Sophia said. "Besides, it is important to me." "You are all important to me." Thanksgiving turned into a comedy of errors as Sophia tried to cook a turkey for the first time in her life. Blake and Gloria helped, guiding her through the process, while Emma made place cards for everyone. "This is not perfect," Sophia said, looking at the slightly lopsided turkey. "It is perfect because we made it together," Blake corrected, wrapping his arms around her from behind. As they sat around Sophia's dining table that usually went unused, holding hands while Gloria said grace, Sophia felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. This was family. Not perfect, not traditional, but real and full of love. "What are you thankful for, Miss Sophia?" Emma asked when it was her turn. "I am thankful for all of you," Sophia said, her voice thick with emotion, "for letting me be part of your family." "You are part of our family," Emma said matter-of-factly. "Daddy said so." After Emma went to sleep in Sophia's guest room, the adults stayed up talking. Gloria excused herself eventually, claiming exhaustion, but Sophia suspected she was giving them privacy. "Your mom is wonderful," Sophia said, curled up next to Blake on the couch. "She likes you," Blake said. "That is huge. She was pretty protective after Emma's mom left, did not think much of my judgment in women for a while there." "I am glad I passed muster," Sophia said with a smile. Blake turned serious. "Sophia, I have been thinking. Emma and I living in that duplex while you are here in this penthouse. It feels like we are living separate lives that only intersect sometimes." Sophia's heart started to race. "What are you saying?" "I am not sure yet," Blake admitted. "I guess I am just acknowledging that at some point we will have to figure out what this looks like long-term. Where we live, how we combine our lives in a practical sense." "I have been thinking about that too," Sophia confessed. I know it is complicated with Emma and your work and my work, but Blake, I want a future with you, with both of you. Yeah, Blake asked, and she could hear the hope in his voice. Yeah, Sophia confirmed. I do not know exactly what that looks like yet, but I know I want to wake up next to you. I want to be there for Emma's school plays and help with homework and all the regular everyday stuff. The regular everyday stuff is not very glamorous, Blake warned. It is to me, Sophia said. You have no idea how much I crave regular and everyday. They talked late into the night, making tentative plans and discussing the logistics of truly merging their lives. It was complicated, but nothing about their relationship had been simple from the start. By the time they went to sleep, separately since Emma was there, Sophia felt hopeful about their future. The new year brought challenges. Sophia's company faced a hostile takeover attempt that consumed her time and energy. There were days she barely saw Blake and Emma, and when she did, she was exhausted and distracted. I am sorry, she said one evening after missing Emma's school concert. I tried to make it, but the meeting ran long. Emma, to her credit, just hugged Sophia. It is okay. Daddy recorded it on his phone. We can watch it together. But Blake was less forgiving. Sophia, you promised you would be there. Emma was looking for you in the audience. I know, and I feel terrible, Sophia said. But Blake, this takeover could cost thousands of people their jobs. I have a responsibility. You also have a responsibility to Emma, Blake said, and there was an edge to his voice. She is starting to think of you as a parent figure. You cannot just show up when it is convenient. The words stung because they were true. You are right, Sophia admitted. I screwed up. It will not happen again. See that it does not, Blake said, but his voice had softened. We love you, Sophia, but Emma comes first, always. I know, Sophia said, and I love that about you. It is one of the reasons I fell for you. Sophia successfully fought off the takeover, but it took its toll. She realized she needed to find better balance, to delegate more. She hired a new COO specifically so she could step back from some of the day-to-day operations. I am restructuring my role, she told Blake. I will still be CEO, but I am bringing in someone to handle more of the operational stuff. It will give me more time for what matters. Blake looked at her seriously. Are you doing this for us? I am doing it for me too, Sophia said honestly. I have been drowning in work for years, telling myself it was worth it. But what is the point of success if you have no one to share it with? I want to be there for Emma's concerts and your furniture showings and lazy Sunday mornings. I want a life, Blake, a real life. With you. I want that too, Blake said, pulling her into his arms. Spring arrived, and with it, Emma's 7th birthday. Sophia helped plan a party at a local park, complete with games and a bounce house. Watching Emma play with her friends, Sophia felt a contentment she had never known in her corporate victories. You look happy, Gloria observed, standing next to Sophia. I am, Sophia said simply. Gloria studied her for a moment. You are good for them, you know. Blake was so closed off after Emma's mom left. He threw himself into being a dad and working, but he stopped living for himself. You brought him back. He brought me back too, Sophia said. I did not even realize I was lost until I found them. That night, after the party was over and Emma was asleep, Blake took Sophia's hand. Come with me. I want to show you something. He led her to his small garage workshop where he did his custom furniture work. In the center was a beautiful wooden jewelry box, intricately carved with a design of intertwined vines and flowers. I made this for you, Blake said. I have been working on it for months, whenever I had free time. Sophia ran her fingers over the smooth wood, tears forming in her eyes. Blake, it is beautiful. Open it, he urged. Inside, nestled in a bed of velvet, was a ring. Not a huge diamond, but a simple, elegant band with 3 small stones. Sophia gasped. I know this is not the kind of ring a CEO probably expects, Blake said, and she could hear the nervousness in his voice. But it is what I could afford, and I wanted to make the box myself because I wanted you to have something I created, something that shows how much work and love I am willing to put into us. Blake, Sophia whispered. Sophia Pearson, I love you, Blake said. I love who you are, both the powerful CEO and the woman who sits on the floor playing dolls with my daughter. I love that you are brilliant and driven, but that you also value the simple things. Emma loves you too, and she would be thrilled to have you as her stepmom. So I am asking, will you marry me? Yes, Sophia said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, yes, yes. Blake slid the ring on her finger and it fit perfectly. They kissed, and Sophia felt like everything in her life had been leading to this moment. It is not too much, right? Blake asked. I mean, I know our lifestyles are different. Stop, Sophia said firmly. This ring is perfect, you are perfect, and I do not care about lifestyles or money or any of that. I care about you and Emma and building a life together. About that, Blake said, I have been thinking. I know your penthouse is amazing, but it does not feel like a home for a kid. And my duplex is too small for all of us. What if we looked for something in between, something that could be ours together? I would love that, Sophia said. Something with a yard for Emma, and space for your workshop, and room for all of us to grow. They spent the rest of the evening making plans and dreaming about their future. Blake suggested they wait to tell Emma until the morning to make it special. The next day, they sat Emma down at breakfast. Blake had made chocolate chip pancakes, Emma's favorite. Peanut, Sophia and I have something to tell you, Blake said. Emma looked between them, her expression curious. Sophia held up her hand, showing the ring. Your dad asked me to marry him, and I said yes. How would you feel about me becoming part of your family officially? Emma's eyes went wide, then a huge smile spread across her face. Really, you are going to be my mom? Stepmom, Sophia clarified gently. But yes, if that is okay with you. Emma launched herself at Sophia, hugging her tight. Yes, I always wanted a mom. Over Emma's head, Sophia met Blake's eyes and saw them shining with tears. This was really happening. She was going to be part of this wonderful, imperfect family. The following months were a whirlwind of planning. They decided on a small wedding, just close friends and family. Sophia's assistant was thrilled, having watched Sophia's transformation over the past year. You are like a different person, her assistant said. I mean that in the best way, you smile now. Sophia and Blake found a house in a nice neighborhood with good schools. It was not as large as Sophia's penthouse, but was much bigger than Blake's duplex. It had a yard for Emma to play in and a detached garage that Blake could convert into a proper workshop. Are you sure about this? Blake asked as they walked through the empty house. This is a big step. I have never been more sure of anything, Sophia assured him. The wedding was set for early fall, and Emma was thrilled to be the flower girl. Gloria helped with the planning, and Sophia was touched by how the older woman had embraced her. You know, Gloria said one day while they were addressing invitations, I was not sure about you at first. A rich CEO, I thought you would break my boy's heart, but you really love them, do not you? More than anything, Sophia confirmed. Good, Gloria said. Because if you hurt them, I will make you regret it, CEO or not, Sophia laughed. I believe you. Moving day was chaotic but exciting. Sophia had hired movers for the heavy stuff, but Blake insisted on setting up Emma's room himself. I want her to feel at home right away, he explained. Watching him assemble Emma's bed frame, Sophia felt a rush of love so strong it almost hurt. This man, with his calloused hands and his second-hand truck, had given her everything she never knew she needed. Emma loved the new house, immediately claiming the backyard as her kingdom. She helped Sophia plant flowers and picked out paint colors for her new room. This is really our house, Emma asked one evening. All three of us together, all three of us, Sophia confirmed. Forever. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. They had chosen a small garden venue, and Sophia wore a simple but elegant dress. No designer gown, no huge production, just something beautiful and meaningful. Emma walked down the aisle first in her flower girl dress, scattering petals with serious concentration. Then came Sophia, and when she saw Blake waiting for her at the altar in a new suit that she knew he had saved up for, her heart felt ready to burst. The ceremony was short and sweet. They had written their own vows. "Blake," Sophia began, her voice thick with emotion, "a year and a half ago, you stopped to help a stranger on the side of the road. You had no idea who I was, and it did not matter to you. You saw someone who needed help, and you offered it without hesitation. That kindness, that genuine goodness, is what made me fall in love with you. You showed me what really matters in life. Not money or success or power, but love and family and being there for the people who count on you. You and Emma have given me a real home, and I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that gift." Blake's voice was rough when he spoke. "Sophia, I will not lie and say I was not intimidated when I found out who you really were. But then I realized that you had been showing me your true self all along. The woman who played dolls on the floor with my daughter, who burned her first attempt at spaghetti sauce, who laughed at my terrible jokes. That woman is who I fell in love with. You took my small world and made it bigger while somehow making me feel like I was enough just as I am. I promise to always see you, not as CEO or businesswoman, but as the person you are underneath all that. I promise to support your dreams while building our own dreams together. And I promise that Emma and I will love you every single day for the rest of our lives." There was not a dry eye in the audience. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Blake kissed Sophia with all the love and promise of their future together. Emma cheered louder than anyone. The reception was held in the same garden with string lights and simple decorations. Sophia's business colleagues mixed with Blake's construction crew and carpenter friends. Gloria danced with the company's CFO. It was perfect chaos. During the father-daughter dance, Blake beckoned Sophia over. "Come here, this should be all three of us." So Sophia joined them and they swayed together, Emma between them, a family in every way that mattered. Later, as the evening wound down and Emma fell asleep on a bench, her head on Sophia's lap, Blake said, "I cannot believe this is real. That you are my wife." "Believe it," Sophia said, running her fingers through his hair. "You are stuck with me now." "Best thing that ever happened to me," Blake said. "Well, second best. Emma is still number one." "As she should be," Sophia agreed. They had decided against a honeymoon, not wanting to leave Emma so soon after the wedding. Instead, they took a long weekend at a family-friendly resort a few hours away, the three of them together. Settling into married life had its adjustments. Sophia had to get used to the noise and chaos of living with a child. Emma had to learn that Sophia could not always drop everything when Emma wanted attention. Blake had to navigate being married to someone whose phone rang constantly with work emergencies, but they made it work. They established family dinners where phones were forbidden. They instituted a Sunday morning tradition of pancakes and cartoons. Sophia cut back her work hours, and Blake's custom furniture business was growing steadily. 6 months into their marriage, at her routine checkup, Sophia got unexpected news. She was pregnant. She sat in her car in the doctor's parking lot, staring at the positive test results. She and Blake had not been actively trying, but they had not been preventing either. Now it was real. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Sophia showed Blake the test results. Blake stared at them for a long moment. Then he pulled Sophia into his arms, holding her tight. "We are having a baby," he said, his voice full of wonder. "We are having a baby," Sophia repeated. "Are you happy?" "Happy does not even begin to cover it," Blake said. "Another kid with you? Sophia, that is everything." They told Emma a few weeks later, once they were past the first trimester. Emma's reaction was pure joy. "A baby, a real baby," she bounced on the couch. "Can it be a sister? I want a sister." "We will not know for a while yet," Blake explained, laughing. Emma immediately started planning, making lists of names and drawing pictures of what the baby would look like. Sophia was touched by how excited Emma was, how she never seemed jealous or worried about being replaced. "You are still my girl," Blake assured Emma one night when Sophia overheard them talking. "New baby does not change that." "I know, Daddy," Emma said, "but I am excited to be a big sister. I can teach the baby stuff and help take care of them. The pregnancy was not easy. Sophia had terrible morning sickness and was exhausted all the time. But Blake was amazing, taking on more of the household duties and making sure Emma understood that Sophia was not feeling well. "You are doing great," Blake would tell her on the nights she felt overwhelmed. Growing a human is hard work. When they found out they were having a boy, Blake actually cried. "A son," he said. "Emma is going to have a little brother." Emma was slightly disappointed it was not a sister, but quickly came around. "I will teach him to play soccer," she declared. And how to read. Sophia's pregnancy brought some of the board members' concerns to the surface. Several suggested she step down or take an extended leave. "Absolutely not," Sophia said firmly in a board meeting. "Women have babies and continue to work every day. I have a capable executive team, and I will take maternity leave like any other employee, but I am not stepping down." Blake was proud when she told him about it later. "That is my wife," he said, "standing up for what is right." Sophia gave birth to a healthy baby boy in early spring. They named him Benjamin, after Blake's father who had passed away when Blake was young. Benjamin Blake Quinn, holding her son for the first time, with Blake beside her and Emma peering over to see her new brother, Sophia felt a completeness she never knew was possible. Her family. Her real family. The first few months with a newborn were exhausting. Sophia took 3 months of maternity leave, and Blake adjusted his work schedule to be home more. Emma was a surprisingly helpful big sister, always wanting to help with Benjamin. "He is so little," Emma said, gently touching Benjamin's tiny hand. "Was I that little?" "You were," Blake confirmed, "and I was just as scared then as I am now." "You are scared?" Emma asked, surprised. "Being a parent is scary," Blake said honestly. "You want to do everything right, and you love them so much it is terrifying, but it is also the best thing in the world." As Benjamin grew, the family dynamic shifted and settled. Emma was 8 now, in 3rd grade, and Benjamin was a chubby, happy baby who adored his big sister. Sophia had never been happier. Yes, she was tired. Yes, her career had taken a backseat in some ways, but she had a husband who loved her, 2 children who filled her heart, and a life that felt rich and full. One evening, as she was putting Benjamin to bed while Blake helped Emma with homework, Sophia reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From that staged car breakdown to this moment, rocking her son to sleep in a house full of love. "Thank you," she whispered to the universe, to fate, to whatever had brought Blake Quinn into her life that day on the highway. "Sophia," Blake called from downstairs. "Emma wants you to read her chapter with her." "Coming," Sophia called back softly, not wanting to wake Benjamin. She placed her sleeping son in his crib and headed downstairs to where Emma was curled up with her current book. Blake gave up his spot so Sophia could sit with Emma, then headed to clean up the kitchen. This was her life now. Reading with her stepdaughter, a baby monitor on the table beside her, her husband humming in the kitchen. No board meetings or late-night conference calls tonight, just family. "Mom," Emma said. She had started calling Sophia Mom a few months after the wedding, tentatively at first, but now with confidence. "Yes, sweetheart. I am really glad Daddy stopped to help you that day, even though your car was not really broken." Sophia laughed. Blake must have told her the whole story. "I am glad too, baby, very glad." "Me too," Emma said, "because now I have a mom and a baby brother and we are a real family." "We are definitely a real family," Sophia agreed, hugging Emma close. Later that night, after Emma was asleep and Benjamin had been fed and changed, Sophia and Blake finally collapsed onto their bed. "Long day," Blake said. "Good day," Sophia countered. "Yeah," Blake agreed, pulling her close. "Really good day." They lay in comfortable silence for a moment before Blake spoke again. "You know what I was thinking about today?" "What?" "That day I stopped to help you. If I had just driven past, if I had been in too much of a hurry or just assumed someone else would help. I almost did not stop, you know. I was worried about being late to get Emma. But you did stop," Sophia said, because you are a good man who helps people. And you pretended to need help, Blake said with a laugh, which I still tease you about. It worked out, Sophia said defensively, but she was smiling. It really did, Blake agreed. He turned to face her, his expression serious now. I love you, Sophia. I love the life we have built. I love watching you with Benjamin and Emma. I love that you chose us. I love you too, Sophia said, and I would choose you 1,000 times over. You and Emma and Benjamin, you are my everything. They kissed, soft and sweet, a married couple's kiss full of history and love and promise. The years that followed were full and rich. Emma grew into a confident preteen who wanted to be an architect, inspired by watching Blake's carpentry work. Benjamin was a curious, active toddler who followed his sister everywhere. Sophia continued to run Pearson Industries, but with a better balance. She made it to school plays and soccer games, to birthday parties and family dinners. Her board had adjusted to the new reality that their CEO had a life outside work, and the company thrived under her more measured leadership. Blake's custom furniture business had grown to the point where he was able to quit his construction job and work for himself full-time. He hired 2 assistants and was making a real name for himself. Sophia was so proud of him, of how he had built something beautiful with his own hands and determination. They took family vacations, modest ones but meaningful. They visited national parks and beach towns, making memories together. Emma and Benjamin would look back on these years as golden, filled with love and laughter and stability. Gloria remained a constant presence in their lives, coming over for Sunday dinners and babysitting when Blake and Sophia needed date nights. You did good, Gloria told Sophia one evening while they watched Blake play with the kids in the backyard. I know I was hard on you at first, but you proved me wrong. You are exactly what they needed. They are what I needed, Sophia said. I was successful but empty. Now I am successful and full. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Blake surprised Sophia with a wooden bench for their garden. Carved into the back were the words where our story began and the date of that first meeting on the highway. It is perfect, Sophia said, running her fingers over the carving. 5 years ago, you pretended your car broke down, Blake said, sitting beside her on the bench. Best car trouble anyone ever faked. No regrets, Sophia asked. Not a single one, Blake confirmed. You. Sophia looked toward the house, where she could see Emma helping Benjamin with a puzzle through the window. Inside was her family, her home, her life. All because she had taken a chance on a crazy idea and Blake had been kind enough to stop and help. No regrets, she said. Just gratitude. For you, for Emma, for Benjamin, for all of this. You captured my heart that day, Blake Quinn, and you have kept it safe ever since. And I always will, Blake promised, taking her hand. They sat together on the bench as the sun set, 2 people from different worlds who had found their way to each other. The CEO and the carpenter, bound together by love and fate, and a pretend breakdown that had led to a real breakthrough. It had not been easy, merging their lives, navigating the differences in their backgrounds and lifestyles. But they had done it, building something stronger than either could have created alone. Emma and Benjamin came running out then, Benjamin's little legs pumping as he tried to keep up with his sister. Mommy, Daddy, come play with us, Emma called. Sophia and Blake exchanged a look, a whole conversation in a glance, the kind of wordless communication that came from years of partnership. Coming, they called together, rising from the bench to join their children. As Sophia chased Benjamin around the yard while Blake pretended to be a monster chasing Emma, she thought about her younger self, the woman who had everything but felt empty. That woman would never have believed this was possible, this joy, this fullness, this love. But it was possible. It was real, and it was hers. That night after the kids were in bed, Blake found Sophia in Benjamin's room watching their son sleep. He is getting so big, Sophia whispered. They both are, Blake agreed, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Sometimes I miss them being little, but I love watching them grow too. Me too, Sophia said. She turned in his arms to face him. Blake, I want another baby. Blake's eyes widened. Yeah, Sophia confirmed. I love our family and I think there is room for one more. What do you think? I think I would love nothing more, Blake said, kissing her forehead. Another baby with you? That sounds perfect. 8 months later, Sophia gave birth to their daughter, Grace. Emma was over the moon to finally have a sister, and Benjamin was fascinated by the tiny baby. Their family was complete. Blake and Sophia, Emma, Benjamin, and Grace. 5 people who loved each other fiercely and chose each other every single day. Years later, when Emma was in college studying architecture and Benjamin was in middle school, when Grace was a precocious 5-year-old who already knew she wanted to run a business like her mom, Sophia would look back on that day on the highway and marvel at how one decision, one moment, had changed everything. She had been looking for authenticity, for someone who would see her for who she really was. And she had found that in Blake, a man who had stopped to help a stranger without expecting anything in return. He had captured her heart that day, and he held it still, safely, and tenderly, the way he did everything that mattered to him. Their love story had started with a lie, but it had grown into the truest thing in Sophia's life. It had not been easy, and it had not been simple, but it had been worth it. Every moment, every challenge, every joy on their 10th anniversary, they returned to that spot on the highway, the whole family piling out of their van. This is where Mommy's car broke down, Grace asked. This is where Daddy stopped to help Mommy, Emma corrected, knowing the full story now, and where they fell in love. Even though the car was not really broken, Benjamin added with a grin. Even though the car was not really broken, Blake confirmed, pulling Sophia close. Best fake breakdown ever. Best rescue ever, Sophia countered, kissing him. Their children made gagging noises, but they were smiling. This was their family, weird origin story and all. As they drove away from that spot, heading home to the life they had built together, Sophia felt a profound sense of peace. She had everything she needed. Not because of her company or her money or her success, but because of the people in this van, the family she had chosen and who had chosen her back. Blake reached over and squeezed her hand, and she squeezed back, a silent affirmation of their love, their partnership, their forever. It had started with a pretend breakdown and a kind stranger who stopped to help. It had grown into something neither of them could have imagined that day. A real, lasting love that had weathered every storm and grown stronger with each passing year. That was the thing about real love, Sophia had learned. It was not about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about showing up day after day, choosing each other, building a life together one small moment at a time, and she and Blake had built something beautiful. Something real. Something that would last. As they pulled into their driveway and their children tumbled out of the van, racing to the front door, Sophia turned to Blake. I love you, she said simply. I love you too, Blake replied. Always have, always will. And that, Sophia thought as they walked into their home hand in hand, was the truest thing she knew. Love was not about where you came from or what you had. It was about finding someone who saw you, really saw you, and chose to stay. Blake had seen her that first day, even when she was pretending to be someone else. He had seen through the pretense to the person underneath, the woman who was tired of being alone, who wanted something real, and he had given her that. Reality. Authenticity. Love. Their story had not been traditional, and their path had not been smooth, but it had been theirs. Unique and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. As Sophia tucked Grace into bed that night and listened to her daughter's prayers, as she kissed Benjamin goodnight and heard about his day, as she hugged Emma and talked about her upcoming finals, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude. This was her life. This noise and chaos and love. These people who depended on her and whom she depended on right back. And it had all started because she had been brave enough to stage a breakdown and Blake had been kind enough to stop and help. Sometimes, Sophia thought as she climbed into bed next to her husband. The best things in life come from taking risks, from being vulnerable, from opening your heart to possibility. She had taken a risk that day on the highway, and it had paid off beyond her wildest dreams. "Thank you," she whispered to Blake in the darkness. "For what?" he murmured sleepily. "For stopping, for helping, for loving me." Blake pulled her closer. "Thank you for pretending your car broke down. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for loving Emma like your own. Thank you for our family." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other. Two people from different worlds who had found their home in each other's arms. Outside, the moon rose over their house, casting silver light over the garden where the bench sat with its carved message. Inside, their children slept safely, secure in the knowledge that they were loved. And in their bedroom, Blake and Sophia dreamed together of all the tomorrows still to come, of all the moments they would share, of all the love they would give and receive. It was not a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. It was messy and complicated and sometimes hard, but it was theirs, and it was beautiful. The CEO and the carpenter. The woman who had everything and the man who had enough. Together, they had built something neither could have created alone. A family, a home, a love that would last forever. And it had all started with a pretend breakdown and a real rescue, with a moment of kindness on a highway that had changed both their lives forever.